Hello and welcome whenever you're watching this episode of the Rangers Women's Supporters Group podcast. This weekend, I'm Alan and I'm joined by Car. How are you doing, Car?
Yeah, better than I have been, so it's nice to be back and more alive than I have been the last few weeks, so yeah, it's good.
Yeah, obviously we're recording this a couple of days removed from Friday night's game, which we'll get on to speaking about soon. We'll keep everybody in suspense about that, but we bit of housekeeping, as some might call it. Or during the week, we saw an interview the club put out with Leanne Crichton, and Car, it was quite interesting to see some of the things she was talking about.
Yeah, I think it was in lieu of a press conference. I don't know if there was a press conference last week. I don't really didn't pay that much attention, but it seemed like that was in place of it, and they were asking her questions about injuries and how she's getting on with coming in so late and how she's feeling things are progressing. And I noticed that, well, you'd be happy that they actually mentioned it is kind of a transitional season with her coming in and what's been happening. She's not had a lot of time to prepare, and then obviously going over some players' injuries and how long they're kind of expected to be out. So it's nice that they've done that. It'd be nice if they did that more often, every 3 months or so, just give us a bit of a general update. Or it doesn't need to be an interview, it can be in writing if they want it to be, rather than be on video. But it's nice that they finally listened and did something that we've been asking them to do.
Yeah, it's very refreshing to hear the manager actually talking about injuries, but you talk about keeping it as up to date. Interesting to see how this fans forum engagement event on Wednesday night will form.
Yeah, I do wonder what the format's going to be. We were obviously, I don't know if we're lucky to have been selected to go or unlucky. I don't really know what you want to call it, but we're going, which is good. We'll be able to hopefully ask some questions, get a bit more insight. But it's good that they're doing it. Hopefully they recognise that the fans need a bit of an update, but a bit more of an insight of what's going on with the club, why we are struggling so much, where we're headed with the new board and everything, the kind of subsect of the board that they said that they're putting in place for the women's team. Hopefully we'll get a bit more understanding about that. So it's good that they're actually doing something. We're getting that opportunity to go and ask some questions, but it will be interesting to see how far they let us ask questions, and if they let us be quite frank and honest about what we want to ask, or if it'll be a bit more reserved and you can't ask that kind of thing.
Well, it will be very interesting to see. It's something new that the club are doing. It's something we haven't seen before, so it's very hard to know what to expect. But it'll be very interesting to hear their views, even if we don't ask many questions. Just hear an update directly from the club as to how this season's went, how they look back on the summer, and how they're looking ahead. But the last wee bit of updates before we get into talking about Friday's game. We finally found out why Lu Mingwen's been unavailable since her debut, and she's had success internationally in China.
Yeah, I thought she was, because of the international post they put up when everyone was away, and it kind of seemed to hint that she'd be away a bit longer than everyone else, so I assumed that that's where she'd been. But the club obviously haven't told us where she's been or what's going on. It would have been nice to get a bit of update about that. But yeah, the fact that she's been away for this length, they've been playing some kind of tournament and they've gone and won, is fantastic. It's always nice when Rangers players win things with their country. So yeah, fantastic for her, and hopefully that means that she'll come back ready to go. I'm assuming after the next international break. I don't think she'll fly back tomorrow and be ready for Sunday. I think that's a bit much to ask of her. But yeah, it's fantastic to see that she's gone and had success when she's been away over there, and hopefully get a bit of relaxation and rest with her family, and then come back raring to go and win things with us.
I'm a bit more optimistic. I'm hoping that means our commitments are done, and she'll fly back early in the week and get a few days back in training, and at least be in the match day squad for Sunday's game at K Park. No doubt she'll need to be wrapped up, because it's always absolutely freezing at K Park, and I'd expect no different late in November. But we've sort of held off on talking about the game for long enough, and this season it feels like we've been holding off talking about the games because we don't want to talk about them. But Carl, this time it was a wee bit different.
Yeah, I mean, I said to you guys before the game that I didn't care what the performance was. All I cared is that we left Ibrox with 3 points. And so I'm very happy with the way that the game turned out in the end. It wasn't pretty. It wasn't a great game. It's not one that you're going to want to rewatch the whole game because we were fantastic, but you'll certainly watch the goals back a bunch of times and enjoy the moments that came from it because of that. But yeah, not a great performance, but I don't really care because we finally won at home against them. So it's fantastic.
Definitely, but we started with Jenna Pfeiffer in goals. We'd obviously seen her injured and go off at Hearts, but she played last week. She was back in goals again. Back four, Ailey, Jess, Leah, and Nick. Quite to be expected, I think. Jodie and May in the middle, with Quinty playing in front, with Laura Berry and Mia McCauley at wide, supporting Katie Wilkinson through the middle. Happy enough with the starting team?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really think it'd be much different, to be honest. I mean, the only one you could maybe say would be Camille Fay potentially in the midfield instead of Quinty, but everyone else kind of picks themselves because we are so short benched. I don't think she's going to start some of the academy players in such a big game, so that she's got limited options, so it's pretty much the team that I expected.
There's not really any surprise in terms of the subs. It was much the same as last week, and we did see the 3 academy players on the bench again, which is really, really good experience for him.
Yeah, and it's just nice that the club is continuing that tradition of bringing players up that they deem good enough to get that experience and potentially get minutes when the game calls for it. Obviously, I wasn't at the game last week, but they got minutes then, which is good to see. I didn't really expect them to get minutes in that game unless we really were like 5-0 up at some point and then were able to come on. But obviously that didn't happen. But it is nice that they're, as much as kind of padding the bench, they seem to be good enough to be able to be there and contribute if needed.
Definitely, and we certainly looked like we were going to need some help early on in the game, because as bad starts go, this was very bad.
Oh, honestly, like, we are bad defensively and we have a lot of injuries, but that's no excuse. This was calamitous. To be 2 minutes into the game and already behind is just criminal, especially at home. But it comes from Jess. She doesn't deal with the player who's got the ball. I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was Smith. I don't know who it was. And then Leah kind of squaffs a chance to clear the ball in the box. The lassie, I think it is Smith, is in the middle of the box, takes the shot. Nick's kind of there, doesn't really get anything on it, and it just goes past Jenna. It's just horrendous because they come from so far down the pitch to then get out wide, get the ball in and be able to score is just horrendous defending from everyone. But it's just the way that we do things now, Alan, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like in the big games we've had really bad starts and then came back like we did against Hearts a few weeks ago. We started really well at Meadowbank against Hibs and then threw it away later on. So it's lack of consistency during games, not just across multiple games, but we really struggled to get to grips with Celtic in that first 30 minutes, and if it wasn't for Jenna, we could have been further behind.
Yeah, I mean, it's an absolute outrageous save that she makes. I don't know how she does it, and I don't know if she really knew that much about it, if she just got really lucky, to be honest. But Lassie takes the shot on. I didn't write that much down about it, but Jenna's kind of diving one way, and then it catches her back foot almost, and then goes out, thankfully. But I mean, Jenna just seems to have good reflexes. It's just what she does, and like, I'm glad that she started, to be honest. I didn't know she would with all the injuries that she's had, but thankfully she did, and she manages to make that save. But it's a crazy save when you think about it, the fact that she's just kind of stuck a leg out, hit her foot, and then has gone out, thankfully. It's just nuts. But they were completely running over the top of us. We could not get near them. We couldn't get to grips with them. But quite frankly, looked like we couldn't be bothered. We didn't want to run. We just looked uninterested in the game, that full kind of, as you say, 30 minutes.
Yeah, and we saw Jenna down a couple of times. She was clearly struggling. I don't know if it was a knock she picked up or it's a recurring injury. It's her concern. We'll hope the club are well, we know the club will be staying very close to. Jenna's been massive for us this season, but that first 30 minutes they looked fitter, faster and stronger than us, and it looked, most concerningly, they were hungrier than us, but we kept it at 1-0, and just as we were getting to half time, up pops your favourite. Take it away, Car.
Yeah, I don't think I've celebrated a goal as hard as I have for this one. Well, other than maybe the last goal of the game, right enough. But this one was certainly one that I got a bit out of breath celebrating. But it comes from a corner from Mia. The defender kind of heads it. It falls to, I think it's Ailey, who kind of just pokes it back towards Laura, who just has to touch it into the back of the net. And she's away. I want to say knee sliding, but it was more of a kind of bum slide. I think she misjudged it and ended up sliding on her backside. But yeah, it's not a wonder goal. It's not a belter of a goal, as we'd call it, but it's a fantastic goal to kind of get us back into the game at a point where we probably didn't deserve to be honest. But when you put the ball in the right places and a striker's there to put it in the back of the net, that's what happens.
Yeah, and as you say, we're going at half time. We're level. I don't think on a balance of play that we deserve to be level, but if we're critical of the team for not being as hungry as the opposition and not being as fit and as fast and as strong as him, I think we've got to credit him with dragging himself back into a game and getting that into half time in a position where we could actually go and attack the game and go and try and win it in the second half.
Yeah, listen, we'll give them credit when they deserve it and we'll give them criticism when they deserve it. That's just the kind of podcast that we are. But it took them a while to get into it, which is just more annoying than anything. We shouldn't need that to happen. We shouldn't need to go to behind to become interested in the game. But the fact that they were also kind of awful, so they couldn't seem to hit the back of the net with the chances that they had, and thankfully Jenna makes a save, keeps us in it. We do keep going, which is one thing that I will give them credit for. They might not do it very quickly or with great intensity, but they will continue to play the game and get chances, which is exactly what you want. And they go in at half time. Leanne, I don't know, shouts at them, goes through them. I don't know what she does at half time, but they always come out raring for it in the second half.
Yeah, we made a change at half time. Quinty stayed in the dressing room and Shinji made her first appearance in about a month after some hamstring troubles, and certainly would go on to make an impact in the game, but it seemed to be a positive change. You know, she didn't quite get into the game as quickly and as early as she would have liked, but it seemed to give the team a lift.
Yeah, and listen, I don't like to criticise players much if they don't deserve it, but Quinty wasn't really offering much in the first half, so I think it was a good change. I don't know, well, judging by the second half, I think she was fit enough to play the full second half, but I was thinking maybe that's a bold move when she's just back from injury, but she certainly did give a lift. I think she's a player that a lot of the other players in the team respect. They like her a lot. They seem to be one that she really enjoys playing with. So I think it really, as we'll get on to, really did impact the game, her coming back. But it did take her a little bit to get into it, but that could just be, again, just coming back from injury, or also the rest of the team not playing well. So just took her a little bit to settle into.
Going through the game from the first half and growing into the second half, we'll talk about the midfield and how Maycroft really learned through the game and really started to grow in the game and become stronger on the ball. And you could see her progression right through the game, which is, again, massively encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, we all know what Maycroft is capable of, and obviously how young she is. She's got learning to do, but I shouldn't have a bad first half, I don't say. I think she was one of the better players in the first half, but she really did grow into it. She had most of their midfield on strings, to be honest. She was running away from them, keeping the ball. Well, a few tackles here and there, but fair enough. If she hates them as much as we all do, I'll be quite happy about that, to be honest. But yeah, great player. But she did grow into it, as you say. She got more confidence, and I think a couple of moments where she was able to keep the ball, I think that kind of taught her, but I can do this. They're not that good. I can run past them. It'll be fine, kind of thing. Which is good when young players have that. They don't kind of drop down and get a bit despondent. Oh, I'm not going to do very well here because I'm 16. She just has the world on her. That's the wrong phrase. I was going to say the world on her shoulders. That's the wrong phrase. She's ready to go and she's not scared of anything.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant to see. I think the only game May's not been involved in for us this season, she was away on international duty. So to see her get so many minutes is massively encouraging. But to see her being brave enough to step up in these big games, is very encouraging. But we took the lead eventually. Maya goes down the outside of the defender, whips a ball across, and it's a brilliant header into a corner by Katie Wilkinson.
It is, and I think we've been critical of her in the first half because she wasn't doing an awful lot. Mia a little bit too. We weren't overly enamoured with Mia not taking players on and not doing what we know that she can do. But this, I mean, I want to credit Nick for the long diagonal ball to Mia, which it's almost carbon copy of what happens for the third goal, but from Shinji. It's an excellent ball from Nick. Mia just chests it down, takes a player on, which we love to see because Mia's great at that. And then Wilco, it's a glancing header just into the bottom corner. And we're finally ahead. We've got to grips of it. We're looking confident. We're playing a lot better. It's a fantastic goal. And it's great for Wilco to get a goal because it's been a while since she's really scored a meaningful goal in a big game against, well, the top five, really.
Well, I think, to be fair, Wilco done her job against Hibs, but you know,
I wasn't at the game, so my memory's forgotten that. Sorry.
I think she held up her end of the bargain, but you know, even at that point on the balance of the game, probably optimistic to say we deserve to be in the lead. But once you get in the lead, you really want to hold on to it and build on that. And I thought we played really well until we get into the last 15 minutes of the game, and you can tell the players are maybe doubts in their mind creeping in, maybe trying just to hold on to that lead. And really, we're not defending well enough to do that for a long spell in the game.
No, we always have to, when we get ahead, we have to go and score another one, which we did have a couple of chances, but they weren't, 100% great chances. But we always just find a way, don't we, of just kind of, I don't know if it is confidence or if it's scar tissue or what it is. It's just, maybe, as you say, we're just not good enough defensively and we just don't make the right decisions in moments like that. And we end up throwing it away and they get one back. It comes from a throw-in over on the left-hand side of the pitch. I don't know who it is. Lassie puts the ball into the box. It evades all of our defenders. No one deals with it. It falls to one of their players and it's in the back of the net. It's far too easy. We're too soft. We're not dealing with balls. Ailey's there. She's kind of trying, but she really did have the opportunity to just kind of smash it up the pitch and deal with it. But everyone's at fault for that. It's not just her. Everyone that the ball goes over, they should really be challenging for that better instead of Lassie having free roam of the box to be able to score.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you give Noonan that space, she's going to find the back of the net. But this was into the last 10 minutes of the game. A game we struggled in to start with. We fought back. We got back in level terms. The team could have wilted and just tried to make sure we didn't lose the game. But Shinji had other ideas. Talk us through one of the best goals we'll see this season, Carl.
Well, I hope it's not. It'll be one of them, but I hope it's not the best goal. Hopefully, we'll score a few more than that. But that pass from Shinji up to Mia is just unbelievable. For a player that's just back from injury, but that's why she's at Roma. That's why we've only got her on loan, and she's a much better player than playing in the SWPL, quite frankly. Unbelievable pass. But Mia really has to do the hard work then. She needs to take the player on. She's running through on goal. You wonder if she's with confidence, she's not going to take it on, but Mia was full of confidence at that point and just absolutely flies over the top of the goalkeeper. I thought she got a hand hit, to be honest, and then I've watched it back probably about 60 times at this point, and I don't think the goalkeeper does get a hand hit. Flies over the top or into the back of the net. She's away straight to the Celtic fans, giving them the shush, giving them the arms out, bamming them up, basically, which you love to see, and then everyone else joins in. But it's a beautiful goal, but that pass from Shinji is just, it's inch perfect, exactly where the ball needs to be, which we've not been doing well enough this season. Passes have been going everywhere, not been finding where they need to be. So to have someone back that's able to make a pass like that is so, so nice.
Yeah, that ball into channel is something we've been looking for all season, and it's quite clear its instruction. And Shinji waits to play that pass. She tells me where she's going to play it. Then she makes that pass inside the defence. Mia's got 2 touches to control the ball and set herself, and then fires it into the top corner. She loves scoring against them at Copeland Road, and one day that stand's going to be full, and hopefully she's still there to see that as she's buying them into the back of the net. But holding on to her will be a challenge.
Yeah, I don't want to think about that yet because we've lost so many players that have caused us grief this season because they've all left, which isn't great to think about. But hopefully Mia redemption wants to go and win a few more trophies with us before she thinks about moving on. But just before that, there was a shout for a handball, and I'm grateful that Rangers slowed it down and put it in the highlights and showed it a couple of times that it is 100% a handball. What annoyed me though is Jodie's the only one that's actually screaming for it. No one else seems bothered. No one wants to annoy the referee and say that's a handball and give him grief. But Jodie's straight there to say that's a handball. So we should have had a penalty. So it could have been a bit more comfortable. But nevertheless, we won anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, possibly that's what Leanne alluded to when she said it should have been more in a post-match interview, but certainly good to hear that final whistle. You know, I think you're absolutely right. We should have put more pressure on the referee, and we are far too nice. We picked up a couple of yellow cards, you know, which probably we've seen more bookings this season we usually see. So we'll keep a close eye on that, you know, and see if that leads to any suspensions. But just getting over the line. That's the first in four seasons we've won a home Old Firm League game. So there's too many monkeys on the back of the team, and the more that we can sort of lose and shake off, the better. So absolutely wonderful feeling at full time. You know, we wanted more from here. We were talking about that during the game. You know, and we know she can offer more, and certainly on Friday night she offered all that and more.
Yeah, she does, and I think that's why we are quite critical of her at times when she maybe isn't taking players on and she isn't running as much as she usually is because we know what she's capable of. But I get it; they have off days, and if the whole team's not performing, maybe she just doesn't see the point. I don't know, but she certainly showed up in that second half, did what needed to be done, an assist, and then the winning goal is just unbelievable. I mean, she's still part of the young team. She's still a young player. She's still got growing to do and learning to do, but she certainly hates them, and she does, as you say, she loves scoring at that end, and it's exactly what we need from players, and it's nice that they get to enjoy that. We've finally won. A lot of these players haven't been here for that full time. Some of them have, so I know for them that they'll be absolutely buzzing that we finally won a home tie. And to do it at Ibrox, I think it's better in general because it's not just we beat them at Broadwood. We've beaten them at Ibrox, so hopefully, if we can beat Celtic, we can beat anyone that comes to Ibrox. It should be the thinking now. So hopefully that gives them a lot of confidence to think that they can do that. Well, hopefully, anyway.
I certainly hope so, but I would pick Mia as player of the match for her contribution. Or I'm taking that look on your face and nodding your head that you would agree.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can an assist in the winning goal in an Old Firm and not give it to her. But I mean, shout out to Maycroft and Shinji Kim for their contributions to the game as well. But yeah, you've got to give it to Mia.
Definitely, and we got some sort of bonus in other results today. You know, slightly surprised that Hearts have just beaten Hibs at Easter Road.
Yeah, especially when Hibs were 1-0 up at half time is crazy to me when how obviously current champions Hibs, like Hearts have improved. They are doing really well, obviously beating us not that long ago, have been doing really well. But yeah, that's surprising. But that's just the way the league is this year. Weird results and strange things happening. So it could shake things up going into next week. But yeah, certainly a very surprising result and hopefully one that changes things around a little bit for Hibs' confidence.
Well, certainly that leaves Glasgow City clear at top of the table, and it's Hearts in second right now. Hibs just behind him, and we're just behind, joint fourth. So next week we go to K Park and play Motherwell, while Glasgow City, after they travel to Portugal to play Sporting Lisbon, they host Hibs next week. So certainly a game where at least one of our title contenders and title rivals are going to drop points, and it would be a terrible thing if both of them drop points next Sunday. But the most important thing is us going and picking up 3 points at K Park, which I'd advise anybody going, make sure we're all well wrapped up, because I've never been to K Park and thought it's actually quite warm today.
No, I think you could go to K Park at the middle of May at the height of summer and it'd still be absolutely freezing. I don't really know what ecosystem that place has, but it's somehow worse than Broadwood. I think it's actually freezing, but I'm sure we'll have plenty of hats if anyone wants to buy a hat if you somehow forget yours and want to help the group out a wee bit. But it should be a game that we win quite comfortably. I say should with a lot of emphasis because the way we've been playing this season, we'd probably go and beat Celtic and then struggle against Motherwell, but should be quite a comfortable game. Difficult in a way. Motherwell are quite well set up. Do they have a manager yet, or is he still there until?
Paul Brownley's still there. I'd heard talk that he was leaving, but I'm not sure if that's got to be in the winter break because he was certainly in charge today. I was at Motherwell's win over Hamilton, and certainly Paul Brownley's still in the dugout, still arguing with our manager, still berating the referee. But listen, Paul Brownley's done a tremendous job at Motherwell. They're a very well drilled and very well organised team, and if he does move on, I think Motherwell will really feel a big loss because he's done a tremendous job there, and he should be, and I believe is very, very well respected within the league.
Yeah, it was a weird one. I definitely saw the post from them saying that he was leaving, but it didn't seem to say it was immediate, so I don't really know what's going on there. But yeah, I assume it'll still be him that's there, but he's got them set up well. They're well organised defensively. They seem to struggle going forward a bit. I don't know if that's just down to players that they've lost or just maybe don't have enough in them. But as long as we do our part, if we get an early goal, I think we'll be fine. As we've seen the last couple of seasons, when we get an early goal against them, we usually go on and score a few. But if it takes a while, it's cold, and the players recently have looked like they can't be bothered, that's not the best combination when you're at K Park. So hopefully we do get an early goal and we'll be fine, and it should be quite comfortable. But again, we'll see, because you never know with this team. It's a bit all over the place sometimes.
Yeah, I think we'll do just fine next week. But after next week, it's international break, and we've only got 3 games left this year. We'll come back from the international break and play Renfrew at Ibrox, which, with the best will in the world, should be more than comfortable and should give us a chance to really blood some of the young players. And it'd be nice to see young Saoirse Morrow and Erin O'Brien and Phoebe O'Donnell maybe even get starts. I think we should have more than enough to take that risk without it being too much of a gamble.
Yeah, I think so. No disrespect to Renfrew, but they are where they are, and we are where we are. So it should be easy enough to get the young lassies some game time, rest a few of our players, because obviously we're carrying a lot of injuries. So it's not the worst thing if, well, obviously some of them are going away on international, and then some of them aren't, so they'll get a wee bit of a rest before that game. But hopefully it's a chance that we can do that, and it's good experience for them getting to play on Ibrox. I'm sure. Well, I'm hoping that they're all Rangers fans, but I don't really know. But I just assume that they play for us, so they are. So we'll go with that. So hopefully they'll look forward to that, getting to start or play at Ibrox. The experience of playing on such a big pitch, I don't know if they've done that before. And it's good experience for everyone, being able to play alongside the players that they'll hopefully be playing with in the future, learning how to play with them, getting a bit of experience and guidance from them on the pitch during the game would be good for them. So hopefully that is something that Leanne does do when we get to that game. But obviously we've got to get through Motherwell and the international break first, with hopefully no injuries and no further setbacks.
Hopefully not, and hopefully it is a good end to the year. But I think that'll do us for this week. Car, will you be at the Motherwell game next week? Are you working?
I'm not working, and hopefully my health stays well enough so I don't suddenly have any further illnesses or issues, and I should be there. But again, I won't hold my breath. You never know with my current issues what's going on, that I might not make it, but hopefully.
Hopefully, and then we can discuss if Laura's a bad omen for Old Firm games at home now. So we can pick it up and discuss that next week. And if anybody is at the fan engagement forum on Wednesday, me and Carol will be there. Feel free to say hello. You'll see us at K Park next week. But for this week, Car, thanks very much, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks, guys.